the art of confusing, boring, and nauseating your audience, and our first team, Stephen and Karissa Purchase. Well, come on up. Thank you. Okay.
Hello, I'm Karissa Purchase.
And I'm Steve Purchase. I'm a legislative aide downtown, was an MSU student, and decided I loved Lansing so much that I decided to stick around. And really, I began becoming interested in the art of presentation as a writing consultant at Michigan State University. And nerd moment also by watching the master at work. And of course, I'm talking about Steve Jobs giving an Apple keynote. It's an art form.
I also work in the Michigan legislature. Don't blame me for the budget, if you can help that. I started to get interested in presentation design and delivery when I was at Michigan State University as a grad student. I worked in the University Writing Center, and I taught a writing composition class where I try to coach my students in designing and delivering creative and effective presentations.
So why don't you hit it? Now we're standing here in front of 14 other presenters and a really savvy audience presenting about what else? Failing at presenting. So for the benefit of our health, I just want to say we're not here to critique anybody, and please don't be too hard on us, but really just to share our take on advanced common sense. What is presentation fail? We've all seen a bad PowerPoint, but really what it is about forgetting your purpose and letting PowerPoint dictate your presentation instead of what you want to say. PowerPoint oftentimes is seen as being synonymous with presentations, but really it's not. It's just a tool to help you make your story or your argument and bring that point across. What is important? You are. It might sound conceited, but it really is common sense. It's your personality, your voice that is going to guide your presentation and make you a hit or not. Look at Tom. He had the technical difficulty award, but his presentation was still a smashing success. Once you have your voice, what you want to do is tell me a story. And I'm not talking about reading My Pet Goat, but it's about creating the narrative to bring your points together and connect yourself with your audience. And while you're doing that, it might seem as radical as taking a jog without your iPod today. Turn off the computer, turn off the PowerPoint, and really think about what you want to say. The PowerPoint can come later.
Now, when you sit down to plan your presentation, you're going to want to get your calendar out and write a few things down. You're definitely going to want to have time to gather your information, design your slides, practice, and then maybe have a little bit of time beforehand if you get sick and need to change your ensemble. Now, there's a few logistical things when you're preparing for your presentation, too. You want to get to your venue in advance in case something like the water is turned off or there's no bathrooms in the building. You're going to want to make sure you bring everything, including a backup if technology fails, and then make sure you're just fit to be seen in public. It'll do you good. Practice makes perfect. Don't spend your whole presentation apologizing for mistakes that you make. Your audience won't be interested. Practice on anyone that'll listen. Your grandma, your mailman, your neighbor's Siamese cats, whoever will listen to you.
And while you're doing all that preparation, don't forget about your audience. Whether they're large, they're small, if they're right in front of you, or across the internet. It's important to know who you're speaking to and what they're going to be receptive to. Otherwise, you might just find yourself talking about the finer points of the Federalist Papers to a bunch of second graders. On to PowerPoint itself. These things right here, templates, they're just evil. Not only are they bland and boring, but oftentimes they suck you into really the sins of PowerPoint and becoming overburdened with bullet points and all the rest of it.
Now, when you're getting your layout ready for your slides, you do want them to look like crap. Now, when I say crap, I'm talking about good contrast, good repetition on your slides, alignment, and proximity. Otherwise, they basically look like crap. When you're choosing your font, don't forget that just because you downloaded the font on your computer doesn't mean it'll be on the computer where you're presenting.
I'm looking at you, Windows.
Make sure that you use simple fonts or save your presentation as a PDF file, or to avoid the heartbreak of seeing your beautiful font replaced by a default.
Now, when you're putting together your presentation, charts and data are often a nice break from the bullet points and other ways of putting something on a slide. But it's important to remember to simplify. We don't really care about data points 1 through 23 if all that's important to your narrative is number 24. Animations, just a distraction. The oohs and ahs in your head might sound good to you, but they distract from the message that you're giving. So typically, unless you're giving a tech demo of PowerPoint, leave them alone.
Images can be really powerful visual cues for your presentation, but if you're just pulling them off of a Google image search, they're probably going to be of low quality, poor resolution, and sometimes they're not even pictures of what you think they are. It's embarrassing. Now, I don't want to lecture anyone, but we've all got to remember to cite our sources, right? So you want to cite your print resources, your images, any multimedia you use. It's intellectually smart and responsible, and it's just embarrassing when you're sued for intellectual property violations.
Now, talking about resources, there's lots out there that can get you great images, iStock photo, Creative Commons, good ones. But you can also use the internet to bone up on your presenting skills. And I'm talking about watching good presenters do their thing. There's Google Tech Talks. You can watch an Apple keynote if you're interested, or check out slide decks on SlideShare.
Now, we're totally breaking our own rules by having all the text on these slides, but we don't want you guys to read this now. We want you to take a look at it afterwards to see the sources we use, grab some resources for yourself, get an idea of what we did to create this presentation. Now, I have to give a disclaimer. These aren't the freebie resources Steve was talking about. These are ones you might invest in post-economic recession.
And that will do it. Thank you very much. You've been great,
you.
and hopefully we've had some presentation success tonight. Thank you.